This argument comes from the polymath Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. Leibniz wrote, quote, "Why is there something rather than nothing?" End quote. His argument goes as follows. 1. Everything that exists has an explanation of its existence. 2. If the universe has an explanation of its existence, that explanation is God. 3. The universe exists. So by 1 and 3, we can conclude that 4, the universe has an explanation of its existence. I don't think anyone would disagree with that conclusion. But now comes the premise which will be criticized, and that is 2. So by 2 and 4, we can conclude that 5, the explanation of the universe is God. Now this argument is a rock-solid argument, which means that if the premises are true, the conclusion logically follows. So anyone who disagrees with the conclusion must therefore show that one or more of its premises are false. Most defenders of this argument are accused of special pleading for God, which would be a fallacy. Those that raise this objection are, in my opinion, sadly mistaken. Thomas Aquinas distinguishes between a thing's essence and existence. A thing's essence is its nature, which are the properties that it must possess to be what it is, e.g., the essence of a human being is a rational animal. If it lacked any of those properties, it would not be a human being. A thing's existence, rather, is its being. Now, if a being is not necessary in itself, this means that its essence is distinct from its existence, so it does not belong to its nature to exist. Then one must conclude that there is a first being which is necessary in itself. In this necessary being, essence and existence are not separate. In some unknown way, its nature is existence. So keeping that in mind, we can reform the first premise to avoid this confusion. 2. 1. Everything that exists has an explanation of its existence, either in an external cause or in the necessity of its own nature. The second objection, and most obvious regarding premise 2, though to me it seems a neophyte objection, when the critic sees, quote, "and that explanation is God," end quote, instead of asking why or how does that follow, they will say that is impossible. But I wonder, on what grounds is it impossible? As long as atheists cannot provide a positive argument against God's existence or show definitely that God is impossible, this objection seems to me an unreasonable a priori exclusion of God. One may say, aren't you leaping to God as an explanation? Why couldn't we propose other possibilities? Because this universe is all we know exists, and according to Stephen Hawking, quote, "the universe and time itself began at the Big Bang," end quote, any cause must be atemporal and cannot be constituted by the restrictions of the universe itself, i.e., space and matter. Now I agree with J.P. Moreland in the conviction that the only option for the atheist would be to appeal to an abstract number or something like that to have caused the universe. But I would agree with Bill Craig that abstract things by their very definition are effete entities. To quote Dr. Craig, they do not stand in causal relation, end quote. But the Judeo-Christian God has always been defined as an incorporeal and timeless necessary being, and therefore God would be an ideal candidate for the explanation of the universe.